Hey, what's up, guys? Tukey here, back again with another episode of my Carolina Hurricanes franchise mode series right here on NHL 19. And tell me if you've heard this one before, but today is a very big day for the Carolina Hurricanes specifically. Now, it's been a pretty damn good season. I don't know if you'd call it a great season, 40-20-2 on the year. In a playoff spot right now, 12 points away from being out of a playoff spot, which, as we mentioned at the end of the last episode, seems like a sure thing, but rest assured it's not a sure thing. Sure. We're looking all right. We're here on deadline day. There was the question of whether or not to make changes, and I think at the very least we're going to take a look around. But before we do that, I do want to mention a couple of things at the start of the video rather than the end. First and foremost, drop a damn like, would you? Please? Because of the new YouTube algorithm, that means the most now, apparently. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Also, new look for the channel dropped today. I recommend you check out the video where I talk about everything, because not only do we have a new look, not only am I on Instagram right now, not only is there a P.O. box and merch, there's all of that. There's all of it together. So yeah. And also check out the description. Everything you need to know is there as well. So yeah, if you could do all that, you'd be doing me a real favor. So thank you. Now, let's get into it. Let's get into it, because as far as what we would want to improve with this team, the forward core has been phenomenal. It's mainly the backup goaltending situation with Jimmy Howard, where the rule was, or the punishment was, I had to sign him for 2 years to be in a leadership role for Spencer Knight. My justification for finding a better backup is that Jimmy Howard can be a healthy scratch at the NHL level and still very much be the motivation to Spencer Knight that he can be and that he has been this season from up in the press box. Not absolutely blowing it on the ice. So yeah, Jimmy, former UMaine Black Bear, but oh, buddy. You're done. And as far as the other change would be concerned, I think it's going to be the third pair D. Romanoff just isn't quite getting it done. He hasn't been miserable, but, between he and Machine, I don't know. I at least want to look to see if there's somebody better. Aside from that, I am extremely happy with where this team is right now and where we're going with the prospects that we happen to have. So we're going to take a quick look around and see what we can find, see if there's anybody better, and immediately, Jack Campbell would be one hell of a pickup, as would Ilya Sorokin. That did not take long to find two decent goaltending options, Anaheim with two very strong options for us. Jeremy Swayman would also be a pretty damn good option. I'd say a little bit more unproven, though, at 25. Luukkonen's on the trade block. That couldn't happen in the Finland series, huh? Damn it. Tuukka Rask is hurt. Tyler Parsons, not Tanner Parsons. Tanner Parsons? I think I was thinking of Tanner Pearson. But no, it's Tyler Parsons. Yeah. Anaheim might honestly be the best bet. I mean, there are going to be other goalies available, but when in doubt, go with the first options that you have and don't bother looking at anybody else. And the reason is Jack Campbell has been pretty damn good over his past 38 starts, and Ilya Sorokin, who's been their starter in the AHL, unfortunately, I don't think we can trust him, but a trade for Jack Campbell, a trade within the Western Conference, that doesn't sound like the worst possible option. I don't have a defenseman available, but we will be able to pick him up for pretty damn cheap, and again, we are still set up so well heading into the next draft. It is absolutely outrageous. Of course, we won't be able to make all those picks, but that's okay. So as far as the team is concerned, again, we have 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have extra forwards. That's what we have. That is the issue right now. Like, okay, what do we have a surplus of? And the answer is forwards. So guys like Luotz-Rainen, Geeky, I think it's really the guys like Drury and Giroux who aren't going to make it. So Benoit Olivier Giroux. Now, Jack Campbell has a little bit more value than that, but I'm going to see if a 1-for-1 will work. It will not. Hopefully we won't have to give up too much for Campbell, but I'm willing to do it at the very least because, again, we have picks we have to move anyway. Grew in a fourth. Still no. Okay. I'm a little bit worried about it being a third-round pick, but that's about as far as I'm willing to pay. Okay. Quite far off? He's on the trade block, man. The hell do you mean quite far off? Son of a... Am I going to give up a second-round pick to shore up our chances? I feel like I have to because of what happened to Spencer Knight last year, and it's the reason why we missed out on the playoffs. So it might be a little bit overreactionary, but a second in Giroux for Campbell and a sixth, I'm willing to do that if they are, and they are. So we'll actually try to see if we can get, let's say, a fourth rounder out of this. I'm allowed to trade for one pick from opposing teams. Okay, so that second round pick just throws the value way up there. What about a third? Oh, a bit off. I think we'll try to go Giroux, a second, a fifth for Campbell, and a third. Perfect. Jack Campbell, welcome aboard. Please don't blow it. No pressure. But please be somewhat halfway decent, I beg you, for the love of God. And defensively, we're going to send Matt Spencer back down to the AHL so that they have a proper amount of depth options. Now, in terms of depth defense and somebody who could replace Romanoff, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find that type of player. But you never know. So, obviously, someone like Torrey Krug, we couldn't use. John Moore, we could. It's just how good is he? Yeah, he hasn't been great. He hasn't been great. And that's the thing, right? How niche of a player are we looking for? Someone who can play third pairing, who's actually been good this year. It's going to be difficult to find. Anderson's top four. Adam Pelech would be eligible, but yeah, no, that stat line's god-awful. Brody, 1 year left at 4.6. He hasn't had a great season, but bringing in a veteran defenseman might not be the worst idea. We will keep Brody in mind. Not the nicest option, we'll say. Josh Manson as well. Also a third pairing guy. Not with that contract remaining, though. Absolutely not. So, right now, if I'm going to go for anybody, it's still going to be Brody, but there's a decent chance that I'm going to trust not Nikita Zadorov. There's a decent chance that I'm going to trust Romanoff over going with the veteran. It's tough to say how much of an effect he would have. Ian Cole, that is a very nice goal and assist total. You take quite a few penalties, but Ian Cole could be worth it. He'd be cheaper than Brody, too. So we'll remember Ian Cole in Columbus. Vili Saariarvi was there. Nobody from Edmonton, Florida. The Juice, Christian Juice, he's available. 12 points. Last year of his deal? That's not too bad. I can't imagine his value is actually that high, though. Mike Matheson is available, but he has 3 years left on his deal. No way that's going to happen. Nathan Beaulieu's had a great season. And he's on a great contract, too. I commend you for that, Florida. Congratulations. Ian McCoshen, 2 years left. I'll pass. I would prefer it to be a rental, just in case someone takes a step up from the system heading into next year. I gotta be honest, man. I think Ian Cole is the best option right now. Kopitar on the block for the Kings. Montreal, Joe Saccone. That's not quite what we're looking for. Anthony Honka, who never really develops Tyconics there. Jared Spurgeon, as Don Cherry would say. Jared Spurgeon. Good old Jared Spurgeon. Nick Leddy's had a terrible year and still has 5 years left at under $3 million. Good luck with that contract, folks. I wish you luck. You are going to need it. Ottawa with Vlasic and Alexiak. Of course, Alexiak ended up in Ottawa. Why wouldn't he have? San Jose, Dylan. He's not bad. I mean, in terms of, the numbers that we've seen, Ian Cole has been the best defenseman. And we might as well bring him in, see what he can do, have Romanoff as the scratch. I think that's the plan. It's not the most expensive rental, but we can't afford to have it be an overly expensive rental. Wow, Josh Wesley actually made it. I never would have thought Josh Wesley actually would have made it. That's pretty cool. So back to Columbus we go. Ian Cole, the cheaper veteran rent. He has 2 years left. Damn it. You know, I'm not going to let that ruin it for me. Or am I? I think that might kind of ruin it for me. I didn't notice he had 2 years left. I'd only looked at the point totals. I had a feeling that I did that. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. Again, I would prefer it to be a 1-year rental. Brody, I know for a fact, had 1 year left, but the numbers aren't amazing. Okay, that kind of changes things a little bit. We know that there were some other options, specifically on Florida, with Christian Juice, who hasn't been that bad. Mike Matheson, again, he had the extra years, though. Beaulieu had the extra years. McCoshen, 2 years. The only issue with Christian Juice is that we can't tell for sure what his trade value is. And that kind of sucks. Because right now, we have limited options. Very limited options. I don't know if Connor Murphy would have been the right idea to go with. I didn't even bother looking at him on the Islanders, but that's okay. I think we have to take somebody back, right? But Dylan might be the best option. I think Brendan Dillon might be the best option. As insane as that is, maybe look to make a deal with San Jose. That way, too, it's with the Western Conference team. I'm going to try to trade for Brendan Dillon. I never would have thought I'd be saying that at the start of the year. But we bring in a defensive veteran defenseman, which, you know, better than an offensive veteran defenseman, I suppose. And I don't think I'm going to outright get rid of Romanoff. Probably have him be the healthy scratch. And then, of course, we have Myers, who will be sent down to the minors. So we're going to look to give up another forward and picks and see what we can get out of this. So it is going to be, I don't know what it's going to be. And, of course, we have someone like DuPont in the system who's still looking really good. Someone like Nielsen who's looking really good. So getting rid of somebody here. Smith and Ray, both signed, of course, and looking pretty damn good. Let's see. Beecher can stay. For a low top 6, he's actually done pretty well in terms of development, but I think that's going to spell the end of Jack Drury's time. And I think we'll look to move on from Luotz to Reinen. And I'll even throw Stortini into the deal. Actually, they can only take one of these guys. It's going to be Jack Drury then. And we'll also throw Stortini in, and then the rest of the value will have to come from draft picks. Where, oh boy. How do we want to do this? Again, those 2 first-rounders have to be moved, but we'll probably do that at the draft. So what if we use that Anaheim second, and we try to offset it with a 4th? What do you think, San Jose? Rejected quite far off, they say. Now, define quite far, because I don't think you know half the time. Oh, boy. Okay. He's worth a little bit more than I was hoping. I am going to bet on myself here. Maybe. Oh, God, do I trade a first? I don't think I want to trade a first for Brendan Dillon. What I do want to do, though, is use Shvidki. Now, I'm not going to use him. Actually, do you need goaltenders? Do you need goaltenders? Kind of. You have Grubauer, Jones, and Olmark. You have Shugard and Verbektik. You could kind of sort of use another goalie. I'm going to use Davison's value here because I genuinely feel like Drury and a second would be accepted in a realistic scenario. At least I would accept that for Brendan Dillon. I don't think on the last day I could really expect to get that much more. So I'm going to use Davison's value to help push this trade over the edge. I mean, again, 19 years old and only a 49. But I'm going to go back and add that 6th rounder on. So basically, I'm just going to use the Davison trade value to push that over because I genuinely think Drury in a second for Dillon is fair game. So that should go through, and it will. Excuse me. Brendan Dillon, welcome aboard. Our insurance policy is in place. Not the most expensive insurance policy, but we're doing what we have to do to shore up this lineup. So Jack Campbell, welcome aboard. Defensively, Brendan Dillon, welcome aboard, confirmed at an 82, which isn't surprising. We knew what his role was. And then forward-wise, we're still good to go with a fairly stacked team. We'll see whether or not that changes up the overall kind of layout of the team. Now, Whitfield Earlier, we were earlier on Best Lines, it would put Teuvo Teravainen on that top line. It's not doing that anymore, which is a pretty good sight. So right now, we're good. So yeah, it puts in Dylan by default over Machine, which is fine. Yeah, I think we're good. We're looking pretty good. Jack Campbell as the backup, and then down in the AHL, we'll go Best Lines. I don't think either of the guys that we got rid of were actually in the lineup by default, as crazy as that is. So Peter Shvitky will get the spot. Gisbers, of course, will just be there. And defensively, let me just make sure that Matt Spencer isn't taking a spot from anybody. He is. He is taking a spot from Ladd and DeLuca. So DeLuca gets into the lineup, and Brett Lernout, unfortunately, will take a seat for Trey Ladd. And with that, we are good to go. We are good to sim to the end of this season, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check, of course, that we don't have any high-value guys scratched. Henman isn't that high value. So yeah, we are good. Let's see. I'll actually, Eric Stahl should probably take a seat. He's a 75 at this point. Let's get Luke Henman in there. And now we're good to see how this team is going to do down the stretch. We bring in another option on defense. We bring in a much better backup goaltender. We're listed as champion status, which is shocking to me. But we'll see what lies in store for us in the future. I'm actually going to back out here, go hit advanced day, and we'll see what other teams manage to do on deadline day. But like I said, with 20 games to go, we are 12 points up. Things are looking okay for us. I'd like to think we're going to be able to make it. So yeah, Jack Roslovich being dealt to Montreal, a pick involving 2 second-rounders. Man, I cannot stop having to clear my throat. Calvin DeHaan dealt to Dallas. Gagne and Hurd for Lintuniemi. Calle Yarncroc also, so Pittsburgh's buying. They brought in Calle Yarncroc as well. Philly reacquires Sam Morin. Edmonton gets Nick Jensen from Winnipeg. The Bruins get Nick Aube-Kubel from Buffalo, and that was it. So a very quiet deadline day, which is good news for us. I mean, outside of Pittsburgh trying to stock up a little bit to make sure that they make the playoffs, none of our competition made any moves. Now, of course, they're ahead of us in the, they're ahead of us in the standings, but still, it's a pretty good sign. So we'll wrap up the month of February with a 7-3 win over Montreal. They have been terrible this year, and we'll see what happens. A lot of home and homes or repeat games at the very least. Let's sim to the end of the second Buffalo game, as Morgan Geekie is back to 100% for the Charlotte Checkers, who of course will not be playoff bound, barring an absolute miracle. We beat the Rangers 4-3 in overtime, and Myers immediately goes down to a shoulder injury for Charlotte. No. Then Morgan Riley goes down to an injured groin. He's going to be out for a week on the dot. That is unfortunate. We did lose that game 4-2 to New Jersey. We bounced back, though, outscoring Detroit 10-7 over the course of 3 games. So we lose both games against New Jersey, but win both games against Detroit. Let's take out Romanoff, who is not a bad guy to have in terms of, someone's injured. Alex Romanoff is the guy. Not a bad option whatsoever. I'm a little bit afraid of how many penalties those guys take, but you know what? We'll make it work. Of course, with the penalties the way they are, it's not all that surprising. We beat Pittsburgh 5-2 for our 45th win of the year. We lose our first game to Buffalo before traveling to Toronto and then Colorado. The schedule makers have it out for us. Here, play in Toronto, then fly out to Colorado, and of course we beat Colorado somehow. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Whitfield, buddy, what's up? Team management's definitely not something I'm worried about. I love you, buddy. I love you too. Doesn't like the kids club. Every other approach is me calling him out for not doing enough on the ice. And I say, thank you for the compliment. Stop handling me with kids gloves. I hate those so much, but people wanted it on for the challenge. We lost both games to Buffalo. We did have that 8-6 win, though, over Ottawa, up to 47 wins on the season. Let's double check to see if we are officially in a playoff spot. We have not clinched, but we are very much still in the race for the division title. Currently in third, 6 points clear on Philadelphia with 8 games remaining. Philly does have a game at hand, but we are pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs despite not officially clinching. The one team that could take us out of it is the Detroit Red Wings, who are on 81 points with 8 games remaining. We are going to be a playoff team this year, which is tremendous. Of course, as far as the team goes, Nathan MacKinnon's leading in points, which is looking really good. We might still end up signing him to an 8-year deal, but we'll see for now. Of course, whether or not he wants if he was only looking for 5 years, I'm not allowed to bump it up to an 8-year deal. So it could be interesting to see what happens there. But right now, he is absolutely on pace to be our team's leading scorer, and we are all but confirmed to be playoff bound. Now the question is seeding, and we have some big games coming up, perhaps none bigger than that game against New Jersey before we head home to take on the San Jose Sharks, who are battling for their playoff lives. So once again, at the end of a season, we control our own destiny, win, and we have a better spot. I mean, last year it was win and we can make the playoffs. This year it's win and we can find ourselves in a better spot. We beat New Jersey. We beat San Jose. Pretty big game against Pittsburgh. Tough Nashville team and a pretty good Tampa team on the horizon for us over the course of the next 3 games to finish up the month of March. We beat Pittsburgh 3-0. Hunter Shinkaruk goes down to injury with a sore shoulder. He should be back for the start of the playoffs. 6-1 win over the Preds for our 51st win of the year. And we play Tampa. We do lose 6-2, but with 3 games left as of April 1st, 51-26-2. You know that we're playoff bound with the Hurricanes. The Checkers, not so much. There you go. Oh my God. This is going to be interesting. Now, unfortunately, the Devils and Islanders both have a game at hand, but we are dead even on points. We technically have more wins than the other two. But them having that game at hand is very scary. But the 3-year drought has come to a close. We will be back in the playoffs this year. And off of tiebreaker right now, we are well ahead in terms of regulation plus overtime wins, considering we're 3 ahead of New Jersey and they only have 4 games left. So if it's a tiebreaker scenario, pick your poison. We have the advantage. It's just what's going to happen here with those two teams having that extra game to play. But there is a chance that we could win this division. Perhaps we're in second. Perhaps we stay where we are and we don't have home ice. Now the good news is the Islanders dropped points. The Devils picked up a pity point. So we are absolutely in control of our own destiny here. We play the 22-48-8 Habs, who are 2-8 in their last 10 games. This is a must-win for us, and we do get the job done. 7-4 final. That sees us into first place in the Metro. Let's see if that holds, though, as Fritz Meyer goes down to an injury in Charlotte, and that will actually result in me changing up the lines here a little bit just to make sure the right goaltending tandem is in. So let's bring in Luke Hedman. I'm actually shocked that this team is as bad as it is. I mean, that is a stacked forward core for the AHL, and then you factor in a pretty damn strong defense as well. Very disappointing that these guys aren't going to be getting that playoff experience, but at the very least, the NHL team made it. So, got to take the good with the bad, I suppose. Let's get Gisbers in there. They're both 61 overall. Perhaps it was the goaltending. That was the one weak spot. As we'll see what the playoff situation is as we head into this game against the Boston Bruins, who are struggling. The Devils are 1 point clear with the same amount of games played. We are tied with the Islanders in points with 2 games left. If we win both of these games, we have a chance to win the division. The Bruins are 4-5-1 in their last 10. They've had a very difficult year. They've struggled. Can we get the job done, or are we going to, oh my God, or are we going to throw away a good chance at the playoffs or a top seed? Andrei Svechnikov goes down with a foot injury. He's expected to be back on April 15th. There is a chance that he is going to miss the start of the playoffs, which would be absolutely devastating. And this is now the 2nd year in a row that we are witnessing something like this happen, and I can't say I'm all that happy about it. Oh boy. Okay. Did we at least beat the Bruins? Please tell me we at least beat the Bruins. Shit, that's it. New Jersey or the Islanders will be the top seed in the Metro. Right now, all we can do is hope that the Islanders lose their final game of the season and we beat the Rangers. That would give us home ice in the first round. But the Devils right now are in the driver's seat for the top spot in the Metro. Despite, I mean, look at the top 4 teams in this division. If we're in any other division, we're in such a good spot. Unfortunately, though, we lost to a bad Boston team. We play a bad Rangers team as well. It's an unforgivable loss, unfortunately. No reason. Yep, okay, that's brutal. We lose to 2 bad teams back-to-back to end the year. That condemns us to 3rd place in the Metro, meaning we will be taking on the New York Islanders in the first round. They will have home ice advantage. That is fairly disappointing, I have to admit. That is extremely disappointing to have lost to a bad Bruins team and a bad Rangers team back-to-back to end the year. Now, on the bright side, it wouldn't have mattered in terms of winning the division. The Devils did win out, but we would have had home ice against the Islanders, and it's kind of a shame that we don't get to escape that situation. But, at the very least, we are playoff bound again for the first time in 3 seasons. It's going to be very nice to be back as we take a look at the entire league. We were the 4th best team in the league, yet we have to play the 3rd best team in the league because of this playoff format in the NHL. It's the worst. It is the absolute worst. It really should be Devils against Penguins. It should be the Lightning against the Sens, Islanders against the Panthers, and we should be playing the Philadelphia Flyers, so it still wouldn't be that great of a matchup. But yeah, they really need to switch the playoff format back to what it was. Division leaders at the top, and then everyone else is based off of the conference seeding. It really should go back to that. But in terms of, actually, regulation plus over, we had the most regulation plus overtime wins, and yet we're 4th. That's insane. Goals for per game, we had the league's best offense, 3.88 per. The lowest in the league was Montreal at a 2.4. That is outrageous. Goals against at a 3.09, which was in the bottom half. Anaheim, by far, had the best defense and goaltending. Our power play was at 25.9%, so we did end up beating the challenge this year, but technically we could have been Vegas and we could have beaten it. I should have mentioned at the start of the year, like, oh yeah, here's the change. So, I'm not going to say we skirted past that goal for the season, but it is what it is. We wouldn't have... We wouldn't have, it would have affected the draft. We would have had to draft a righty for every position except for our goaltender. So there weren't the highest stakes for that. And of course, we know that we've completed both goals for the season. Nathan MacKinnon led the team in points. So no punishments coming our way, which is great, unless, and even then I can't screw up the draft this time. So yeah, no punishments coming our way this year. For the first time, I think ever, or just the second time, I've avoided having to take a punishment at the end of the year. So that's pretty good. Our penalty kill is somewhere in the mid-table, so that's all right, all things considered. I thought it was going to be at the bottom, and I'm like, that's not pretty good. But let's take a look at the team. Nathan MacKinnon living up to the money total. We paid him $10 million for 1 year. That's going to be a very interesting contract renegotiation, but 95 points, 44 goals, played the entire season, and finally, between Sebastian Aho and Mitch Marner, they couldn't perform to this caliber. We finally have a legitimate top-line center in Nathan MacKinnon. Andrei Svechnikov, of course, currently hurt heading into the playoffs, but he had a career year. He's up to a 90 overall, 79 points this year, 61 assists, 18 goals, down from, I think, the 27 he had last year. Teuvo Teravainen also hit 71 points, which I believe is the highest he's had with us. By far it is. So a tremendous year for Teuvo. And Jamie Whitfield, now up to a 90 as well at 23 years old. 33 goals this year. That's a career high. 70 points. That is a career high. What a player he's proven to be. And then it gets interesting. We talked about it last episode, after the acquisition of Braden Shen, that Trevor Zegras could be in line to replace him in the top 6. I think that's a safe bet. 61 points this year, 28 goals in just 66 games, mind you, because of injury as a third liner. Trevor Zegras is going to be an integral part of this team moving forward. Very excited to see what he can do. And Braden Shen, the veteran pickup, in fairness, 59-point season, I'm not complaining. His best season since season 1, where he put up 63 points for the St. Louis Blues. We round out the top 6 by talking about Nino Niederreiter, who had 50 points in 78 games, which is down from the 65 he had in the same amount of games last year. So a little bit disappointing. Obviously, you could say, well, Nathan MacKinnon's here, so the point distribution changed a little bit, but regardless, he still should have been able to do something, but not too bad for Nino. As, this is the last year of his no trade as well, which is pretty nice. So we'll be removing him from that list. We're free to move him if we need to. Alex Turcotte on the third line, 23 goals, and I think that's a factor too. The third line was great. 44 points in his rookie season. Could also be a very crucial part of the top 6 moving forward. Pekka Matanen at 21 years old. His second season in the league, put up 34 points on that third line, playing beside some crazy talent. Theo Rocher, 29 points this year. I believe in his rookie season, indeed it was. Not too bad for the fourth liner. You have Antti Alonen at 22. Look at how young this team is, by the way. My God. 27 points in his sophomore year on the fourth line. And then Hunter Shinkaruk, of all people, 26 points on the fourth line this year. Never would have guessed Hunter Shinkaruk would be a fairly important piece of the piece of the puzzle. Yeah, I got a little bit distracted. It happens. I'm sorry. The dog is at the window. I can tell by the way she's moving. She's gonna start barking at something. But yeah, Matt Philippe, our depth forward, 15 points in 35 games. Great season for him. And one hell of a depth player as well. He had 21 points in 72 games last year, so he is still a great addition to the team. Defensively, Morgan Rielly was nearly point a game as a defenseman. 74 points in 79 games. If he can stay healthy, my God. And that also factors into why the top 6 numbers might have been down a little bit for some. Dougie Hamilton, who will, of course, be here until the end of time. Another 51-point season for him. We go to the second pair. Jake Bean had a great year. I don't know how well Justin Falk did, but I think it was the right call to keep Jake Bean. 50 points this year in 82 games. He definitely enjoyed the bigger role, the more important role on the team. Dominic Machine, the third liner, ended up doing pretty damn well for himself. The 28-year-old, 22 points this year. Not bad at all. We go to Brendan Dillon, of course, who we picked up at the deadline. 17 points on the season. Bowen Byram, will we trade him? I don't know, but just 16 points as a second pairing defenseman. I'm a little bit concerned because, again, that value is going to continue to drop. I'm not going to be able to trade, though, for the most of his value because technically it's looking like he might not make it. And then we have Alex Romanov, who had 11 points in 65 games. I think he'll still shape up to be our depth defenseman heading into the playoffs. And then goaltending, knock on wood, Spencer Knight is healthy, 41, 19, and 1 on the season, 4 shutouts, a 9-15, so nothing outrageous, but we do pick up Jack Campbell to back him up just in case, who had a 9-17 in 19 appearances, and then of course Jimmy Howard is there as well for veteran leadership and motivation heading into the playoffs. So the last thing we have to do here is take a look around the league. Good Lord, Taylor Hall and Jack Hughes. Of course, Hughes ended up going to the Devils. 120 points, 119 points, running the league. And Nico Hischier was up there as well. The New Jersey Devils, ladies and gentlemen, in case you were wondering why they finished first in the division and won the President's Trophy. Tyler Seguin had 113 points. Scheifele and Laine were up there. Connor McDavid was up there, 101 points. Radulov, Kari Ranta in Vegas looking like a beast. Atu Roddy in Buffalo. And of course we have McKinnon, Draisaitl. Cody Glass was way up there. Nikita Gusev and Oliver Rice in Nashville. Tarasenko and Jamie Benn, Gunler, and others. Alexis Lafreniere up there for the New York Islanders. Brady Turco for Anaheim. So there's a good mix, of course, of established talents like Eichel and Kucherov. the real-world players like Wahlstrom and then guys like Turco and Silvergard who are putting up points. We've made it to that point in this series. Matt Savoy ended up putting up 84 points in 82 games. A lot of players over a point a game pace, by the way. Ty Ratty even hit a point a game. That is hilarious. That's what you get for being on Connor McDavid's wing. In terms of goal scoring, Hughes, Ranta, Laine, McDavid, Roddy, Sagan, Wahlstrom all hit 50. I thought Savoy did as well. That is outrageous. Vitaly Kravtsov up there for the New York Rangers. In terms of defensemen, Morgan Riley technically led in terms of points. That might be worthy of a Norris, but Matt Dumba and Victor Hedman also broke 70. The Carlsons were both up there as well. Heiskanen, Sergachev, Jost, Thomas Chabot, not Jost, Yossi. I was thinking of forwards for some reason. Thomas Chabot, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and Cale Makar all hit 60 points at least. And in terms of goals, we had 6 defensemen hit 20 goals. Adam Fox hit 31 because, of course, he did. Scott Perunovich at 24, 20 for OEL, Delamont, Erik Karlsson, and Torrey Krug. And in terms of goaltenders, the winningest was Alex Georgiev for the New York Islanders. That's just a little bit strange, isn't it? Just a bit. Top goalie in terms of save percentage, okay, so the glitch happened, but Evan Fitzpatrick is going to win the Vezina. Oh my God, I can't believe that glitch is still in. John Gibson is the rightful winner of the Vezina, though, by far. So don't worry, John. We will give you your proper due. Great seasons for Vasi. Binnington was up there. Hart and Ingram. Mackenzie Blackwood. So the young goalies have certainly taken over. And in terms of the rookie race, it is going to be Bobby Brink in Dallas. Damn. 70-point season for Brink, robbing Trevor Zegras of a Calder, although if Zegras played the full season, it would have been him, by far. I think in real life, you would have seen Zegras. At the very least, that would have been a battle to the death in terms of who is the rightful Calder winner. I would give it to Trevor Zegras, but Bobby Brink had a phenomenal season as well. And with that, let's get the official confirmation. We already know it's the case, but let's do this. We know that it's going to be the New York Islanders as Brett Leeson goes down to injury, but of course the Checkers are already well out of playoff contention, and there you go. We will be taking on the Islanders in the first round. We are back in the playoffs, finally. Over in the West, it's St. Louis and Winnipeg, Minnesota, Nashville, Vegas and Edmonton, Anaheim, and Dallas. So Anaheim makes it despite the goalie trade, which isn't surprising. Of course, they have John Gibson. And then over in the East, we play the Islanders, Devils and Penguins, Panthers, Sens, Lightning, and Flyers. That is the playoff structure for the 2023-2024 Stanley Cup playoffs. That journey will begin in the next episode. We're finally back, but damn it, we have a mountain to climb, a murderer's row, just to get to even the conference final, as we're going to have to go through the Islanders, Devils, and or Penguins, or not, but you get the point. It's going to be tough, but at the very least, we made it back, and with as young of a team as we have, it's a very promising look towards the future. Although there will be some big decisions to make coming up in the postseason, but we'll figure that out, or the offseason, but we'll figure that out when we get there. For now, we are done. I thank you guys very much for watching, for supporting the channel. Again, it's greatly appreciated. Hit the like button, please, for the love of God. Check out everything in the description if you haven't already, or again, go check out that update video. I will see you guys next time. The Hurricanes are back in the playoffs, but for how long?